Strange, because tomorrow the World Cup at 5 o'clock, we find a hadith of Sahih Muslim that when Gog and Magog are released, the first of them will pass by the Sea of Galilee and start to drink the water. And by the time the last of them pass, they'll say there used to be water here. When the last of them pass will be a time when the Son of Mary comes back. Guess how much water there is in the Sea of Galilee now. I'll give you the answer tomorrow. Inshallah. So he asked, is there any water left in the Sea of Galilee? They said, yes, plenty. He said, I don't think it will last for long. Then he says, I am Dajjal. And when I'm released, I'm going to enter every town and every city, but he didn't mention Kampung. He didn't mention Kampung. We'll enter every town and every city. But not Makkah and Medina, because the angels are going to protect Makkah and Medina. So now we know that when Dajjal is released, he's going to be released on this island. And it is from this island that he has to launch his mission in a day which is like a year. And nobody knows how long is a day which is like a year. And from this island he has to launch his mission to impersonate the Messiah. And therefore to liberate the Holy Land, to bring the Jews back to the Holy Land, to restore a state of Israel in the Holy Land, etc. Which island is it? Which island is it? Do I have the right to ask that question? Absolutely. Now this is my answer. And my name is Imran Hosein. So you can differ with me. But if you differ with me, you're not allowed to leave the hall. Now, you will have to tell me which is the right answer, if my answer is the wrong answer. And you'll also have to give me the evidence which supports you. My answer. In 1917, it is the island of Britain, which having become the ruling state in the world, ruling the world with military power and ruling the money of the world through the Bank of England, because they got us, meanwhile the scholars of Islam were eating halwa. They took away the real money, which has intrinsic value, and they replaced it with paper money, which they could manipulate. You don't have to have a PhD from Harvard to understand this, which you can manipulate the paper value of the paper money. And when the paper money collapses, as they did in Indonesia, you can rip them off. And so half of the country now below the poverty line. You have sucked the blood of the people. Shame on you. This is what happens when paper money replaces real money. So Britain now rules the world in terms of military power. Britain controls the money of the world through the Bank of England, because now you're using paper money. In 1917, this Britain issues the Balfour Declaration that I spoke of earlier. In 1919, a British army defeats the Turkish army and liberates the Holy Land for the Jews. From 1919 to 1948, Britain allows the Jews to return to the Holy Land that the Ottoman Empire had not allowed. You could come back as a tourist, but you can't come back to reclaim the Holy Land, no. Not while the Ottoman Empire was there. And in 1948, the island of Britain acts as the midwife for the baby to be born, the state of Israel. And so my answer is that the island is Britain. If you differ with me, you must tell me which is the right answer. And you must give me the evidence which supports you. But you have the freedom to differ with me, because this is my opinion. And so I answer and declare that when the false Messiah is in a day which is like a year, it is from Britain that he attacks. Britain is the headquarters of Dajjal. But one day, Britain is no longer the ruling state in the world. The First World War comes around, and it is launched by way of a terrorist attack which bears the same fingerprints of September the 11th, incidentally. And this terrorist attack launches the First World War. And Britain is forced into the war by those who planned the attack. And within 2 years of the launching of the First World War, Britain is about to surrender. Germany has encircled Britain with her submarines. Britain is no longer the ruling state in the world. And then, in a chapter of history which is still to be written, but we know what happened. Britain is offered a deal. A deal. If you will promise us the Holy Land, we will bring the United States into the war. So the Zionist movement succeeds in getting the Balfour Declaration. The United States enters into the war, and the tide of the war turns, and Germany is defeated. But the United States is now the new ruling state in the world. Not only does the United States of America have their military power, but also rules the money of the world. Because the sterling pound is now replaced by the US dollar. The Bank of England is now replaced by the World Bank and the IMF. And London is no longer the financial capital of the world, it is now Washington. If there was any doubt concerning the United States as a new ruling state in the world, look at the Second World War. It is an American general, a man named Dwight Eisenhower, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, the Allied forces, etc. I don't want to take your time too much because I believe you are in agreement with me. The United States has taken over from Britain as a new ruling state in the world. But when the United States takes over from Britain, there is a strange, a puzzling, a baffling, a mysterious, a mystifying, enigmatic relationship between the United States and the State of Israel which defies rationality. The United States supports Israel, right or wrong. The United States provides massive financial aid, economic aid, military aid, transfer of military technology, and so on and so on and so on. And so the baby grows up into a very strong, powerful man now. Israel is now a nuclear power and a thermonuclear power on par with the nuclear powers of the world. Thanks to the United States. Some of it went through the front door, some went through the back door. And so we say that when the false Messiah is in a day which is like a month, it is from the United States of America that he is launching his attack. This is the headquarters. The question is, will a day which is like a month last forever? Will the United States of America be the ruling state in the world forever? No. Well then, when the United States is no longer the ruling state, who will replace it? The answer, which only those who follow Muhammad ﷺ can give, is that the state of Israel will replace the United States of America as the ruling state in the world. And that's coming. That is around the corner. My assessment is that September 11th was meant to function as a catalyst to facilitate this movement. If the President of the United States of America had been killed and Allah that he was not killed, he had been killed, then this movement would have been accelerated. In order for Israel to become the ruling state in the world, a big war has to be launched. And the territory of the state of Israel has to dramatically expand, and that is around the corner. Because the Torah says, with the Zionist movement considered to be the title deed of the state of Israel, the Torah says that the territory of the state of Israel extends from the river of Egypt to the river